Okay. So I wanted to make this video as a like what I learned in 2023 video just cuz the year is coming to a close. And I actually learned a lot. So, I learned a lot about balance. I learned a lot about priorities, and I learned a lot about the cost of living. So I moved to the South because it was just way cheaper, and I didn't want to. I don't even want to call it like struggle through the rat race, but like I just don't think that like corporate America is a safe space for me. I think there's something about me that it doesn't align. For people like me, corporate America is not the correct place. Um, but don't get me wrong, because there's quite a lot of other people who thrive and succeed there. So I don't really intend on going back. Now, for me, I was really interested in being a content creator, and I wanted to come from like this niche place. What I found this year was there was a lot of content creators occupying a niche space, and so it really encouraged me to focus in on things that matter to me. And to try to talk about conversations, topics, current events that were actually like impacting my life, right? Because I know there's this big idea that like we're all not talking like we're all talking about the things that we don't like and nobody's talking about the things that we do like, and that's just not the case. Like I actually spend most of my channel pretty there's pretty much no one really that I cover that I don't like anymore. Even Tyla, like I like Tyla for a lot of reasons. I think that America needs representation of like a pretty non-white girl who's like just really cute and pop, not butch or like a lesbian, at least outright. Because we just don't have any examples of that, except for like Arya Star was the only other example that we have of that. So it's great that like those two girls are like just shining and being bright, and I hope nothing but the best for them. It just I guess in relation to like if I was a young black girl though, I would just not like look at Tyla as like a role model per se. Like I think it's nice. I think that Tyla is really good representation for like white girls to see someone who's like non-white and who is like thriving. That example needs to be there, but there also just needs to be like an example of that for black girls. And so it's just become very clear that she isn't that, and so there's still Arya Star, so you can look to her. Not the point. The point is like I learned that this year. I also learned how to talk about unpopular opinions and how to cover topics from my point of view. Now, I am not big on editing. I've never been big on editing. I just don't like to spend time editing. So I'm not going to be the person who like clips in a bunch of other videos and then like talks about them and like you can hear my point. I'll do that for a couple that I feel like are just so it's like really necessary. Like if I don't do the clip, nobody will do the clip. But for so many other content creators, they're like reusing stuff, and so I don't actually need to do the clips. And there was something I saw. I saw a video yesterday that introduced a lot of terms that I feel like I saw this in the past. Because here's the cool thing about YouTube. YouTube is this place where if you have an idea for something and you have a camera, you and just like really minimal editing skills or even no editing skills, you could kind of sort of bring your story to life. And there's somebody who would like to watch it. They might just like something about you. They might like something about your fashion. They might like something about your aesthetic. They might like something about your personality. Like you don't know what it is that is bringing people to you. You don't know why your followers are following you. You don't know. That's the really cool thing about YouTube. Like the platform is here and the people are here. The audience and the platform are here. All you have to do as a content creator is continue to put out content and eventually your audience will find you. Like, some people will believe they're your audience and they'll learn over time that they're not, and they'll leave. And the people who are your audience will come. The people who are meant to find you will find you. It isn't like you don't have to do like a bunch of extra work to have that happen. It will happen. And it will almost happen like organically. And I guess like one thing I would tell myself, especially last year, I think in 2020 specifically, that's when I feel like I started making real like content. I really started to like take the camera out, talk to the camera, share ideas, and just come on this platform and do that. And I have a lot of videos. And one strategy that I use to get started, which is something I would actually encourage other smaller creators, especially if you have no audience, to do, is to read articles aloud and insert your own opinions. So a lot of the people who are writing are writers are really good writers. They're not very good public speakers typically, and a lot of times they actually don't like reading their own words out aloud. So if you are just willing to come on screen and read the words aloud, especially if you're willing to give them a personality, well, welcome to acting. Now you have stepped into like a new realm of artistry, of content creation. And there's so many things you can read about. You can read about culture, you can read about society, you can read about pop culture, music, food, restaurant reviews, all type of things to do in your city. There's so many ways for you to create content about your piece of the world. And especially one thing I would really encourage you to do is think about the things that you are personally struggling with right now, because they might seem and feel mundane. Like, it might feel like nobody cares about this. This is not important. But the reality is there's probably someone who does care. And they might not know that like you exist. And they might want to know that you exist. Like, for instance, I know that Kenya exists, and I'm so happy that she does. Like, her content has brought me so much in my personal life. Like, I personally needed to see a black content creator, a black female content creator who was as confident in her opinions as she is. Because it felt like I was talking to a friend. Like, and it made me more confident in my unpopular opinions. That didn't always agree with hers. They were my own, but I didn't have any other example. Like, everyone around me at the time when I first found her channel was so opposed to like her worldview that we weren't even seeing eye to eye. Like, all the topics that she was talking about, there weren't people around me talking about those topics at all, like at all. So it was very strange to have like to feel like I was in this isolated bubble where there were like no other black girls who were even remotely talking about anything that I resonated with. She was talking about pop culture. She was talking about music. She was talking about like movies. She was talking about like white actors. She was talking about black actors. She was talking about everything in between. She subtly commented on race. She was talking about music. It was just like, wow, okay, this girl lives in the real world. This girl like understands American society. The same thing I feel like Kelly Stamps did with her channel, but she did it in a way where she was like outside in the world, like doing shit. And that was really cool. That's really cool. It was really cool. And I feel like, we probably need a little bit more of that. I also really like Taylor Bell's channel a lot. I like Taylor Bell as a person because I feel like she's creating content that is telling a story of a worker bee. A really wealthy worker bee, but a worker bee nonetheless. And I like it a lot. I feel like it is how can I say it? I feel like it's this nuanced part of society that if you're a part of it, you understand, but if you're not, you don't. And I feel like maybe I could make a lot more commentary about the subtle characteristics of people who live in that part of society and how those subtle differences are so different from maybe the way that you were living, or the way that other people who are not a part of that particular society are living. And I could talk about that in depth because I feel like the differences are ranging miles, but they're also very subtle. So I said a lot to say a little, but I learned that this year. I also really want to emphasize the fact that if you are in a place where you feel unsure, if you are in a place where you feel like you are not going to be able to grow with, like, if your family does not have a very clear plan for you, you don't have a very clear plan for yourself. Like, if you have a plan for yourself, like you're in school or something, or you're thinking about a master's or something, or you're in a career, that's great. You should stay there. You should do that. But if you're like, you really like don't know the next step, you feel like you need a break, I would highly encourage you to move to a small town and become a waitress. You can pay your bills doing that. And like it, I really feel like you can kind of get your feet under you. And I needed someone to tell me that when I was in a place, like when I was like 18, I needed somebody to tell me that, and nobody told me that. So I'll just be the person to tell you that. It's a real thing. You will learn a lot. So much. So much. Um and I feel like you kind of need to learn the lessons that you learn by doing that. You, as a woman, especially as a black woman, I feel like you might need to learn them because there's things cost money. Um, and there's most people are willing to pay that money because it isn't more money than they have. They all have the money, and if they don't have the money, it's a problem. There's a reason that they don't have it. Probably because they're shisty or they're doing some illegal shit. Anyway, that's what I learned this year. What did you learn this year?